Madison Carter bursts into the courtroom, her designer heels echoing like a challenge. She's late, arrogant, untouchable in her own mind. But when Judge Frank Caprio speaks, the arrogance in her eyes is about to meet a storm she never imagined. Could one moment in this courtroom change her entire life? Today, in front of Judge Frank Caprio, a teenager who has never known limits is about to face the consequences of her entitlement. 19-year-old Madison Carter, daughter of a powerful senator, is accused of defying the law and disrespecting those around her. She walks in thinking her charm and her family name can shield her, but the courtroom has a way of revealing truth, pride, and character. The question is simple: will Madison finally understand the weight of her actions, or will she walk away thinking the world owes her forgiveness? Madison Carter walks into Judge Caprio's courtroom wearing a silk Prada blouse tucked into ripped Gucci jeans, oversized sunglasses perched on her nose. Her $3,000 handbag swings from her shoulder like a trophy of privilege. Every eye in the room turns, a mixture of awe and irritation rippling through the crowd. She's late, of course, 20 minutes past the scheduled time, but she doesn't seem to notice. AirPods dangle from her ears, and her phone is glued to her manicured fingers. She scrolls through Instagram, smirking at likes and comments as if the real world can't touch her. The courtroom is silent as Judge Frank Caprio adjusts his glasses and glances over his notes. His presence alone is commanding, a calm yet piercing authority that demands attention. Madison doesn't flinch. She drops her bag onto the floor, letting it thud loudly, and takes a seat with a dismissive flick of her hand. "Good morning, Miss Carter," Judge Caprio begins, his voice steady and unyielding. "You're late." Madison rolls her eyes, barely looking up. "Traffic was terrible," she mutters, as if that excuses her disregard for the court. The bailiff exchanges a knowing glance with the courtroom clerk. This isn't just any teenager. This is someone who believes rules are optional, someone who grew up thinking the world would bend to her whims. And right now, that belief is about to collide with reality. As the prosecutor starts presenting the charges, disrespecting public officials, attempting to bypass legal procedures, and interfering with a local community project, Madison interrupts, her tone sharp. "I don't see why I'm even here. This is ridiculous." Judge Caprio leans forward, voice firm but measured. "Miss Carter, you are here because the law applies to everyone, even you." A snicker ripples through the audience, mostly from Madison's friends seated behind her. She smirks, confident, untouchable. She doesn't realize the courtroom's tension is building, like a storm just over the horizon. The first witness approaches, a local shop owner whose property Madison allegedly trespassed. He recounts the incident calmly, explaining how Madison disregarded multiple warnings and mocked the people trying to stop her. Madison crosses her legs, scrolling on her phone, whispering dismissively to her friend. Judge Caprio raises his hand. "Miss Carter, respect in this courtroom is not optional. Will you listen, or shall I continue to interrupt your entertainment?" Her eyes flick up for a moment, irritation flashing. Then she scoffs and looks away. The courtroom gasps. Did she just disrespect the judge openly? The tension thickens. Everyone waits, holding their breath, sensing that this moment will define Madison's day, maybe even her life. How far will her arrogance take her? But what happened next left the entire courtroom speechless. The courtroom falls silent as the next piece of the case unfolds. A young local resident, barely older than Madison herself, steps up to give testimony. Her voice trembles at first, but determination shines through. She explains how Madison, in a fit of entitlement, had stormed into a small community art center, mocking the volunteers and damaging property, all while laughing as though the rules didn't apply to her. Judge Caprio listens, unwavering, letting every word sink in. The evidence piles up. Security footage shows Madison pushing aside staff, flinging objects, and ignoring repeated warnings. Every gesture, every word, captured in crystal clear clarity. She had even taken a designer handbag from a display table, trying to act as if the store owed her something. Madison leans back, arms crossed, lips pursed. "That's ridiculous," she mutters. "I didn't even touch anything." Her voice drips with disbelief, but the room is filled with gasps and whispers. The prosecutor pulls up the video clips, and without a single word from Judge Caprio, the silence grows heavier. The video shows Madison laughing, her friends recording every move, phones flashing as though this was some game. She steps on a small statue, knocking it to the ground. The sound echoes in the silent courtroom, haunting in its simplicity. It's impossible to ignore. Rhetorical question moment. How could someone so young and privileged fail to see the impact of their actions? The community volunteers begin to speak, recounting hours of work ruined and the emotional toll of being mocked. One woman, eyes wet, says, "We welcomed her, and she treated us like we were nothing." Madison rolls her eyes again, but the judge's gaze doesn't leave her. It's steady, piercing, and full of quiet power. Judge Caprio finally breaks the silence. "Miss Carter, do you understand the harm your actions have caused?" Madison shrugs, attempting nonchalance, but the courtroom can feel the tension thickening. Even her friends glance nervously at her, sensing that the balance has shifted. The prosecutor reveals one more shocking detail: Madison's social media posts. She had bragged online about flaunting the law, tagging friends and influencers, calling the incident hilarious and showing no remorse. The courtroom murmurs in disbelief. The arrogance, once invisible, now stands naked. And then the mini cliffhanger hits. Just as Madison opens her mouth to protest, Judge Caprio lifts a hand, signaling silence. He leans forward, voice calm but with the weight of authority behind every word. "Miss Carter, you may think this is just another post, another moment of attention, but in this court, truth is not optional and karma is not delayed." The tension is unbearable. Every eye is fixed on Madison. Her smirk falters ever so slightly. The evidence is undeniable, the humiliation public, and the question remains, how will she respond? Drop a comment below if you think Madison will finally learn her lesson before it's too late. The next moment would either break her or set her on the path to an unforgettable reckoning. Madison sits frozen, the courtroom's eyes burning into her like a spotlight she cannot escape. Her friends fidget in their seats, whispering, but no one dares interrupt. Judge Caprio's presence is magnetic, demanding reflection, respect, and honesty in a way Madison has never experienced. The victim, a teenage volunteer named Lily, steps forward again. She takes a deep breath, voice trembling but steady. "I trusted her. We all did. We thought she would follow the rules like everyone else. But instead she laughed, destroyed our work, and made us feel invisible. Do you understand what that feels like?" Madison shifts uncomfortably. Her perfectly manicured hands twist in her lap. I didn't think," she starts, but the words falter. There's a flicker of doubt in her eyes for the first time. Judge Caprio leans in slightly. "Miss Carter, you have a choice today. You can acknowledge your actions, or you can continue to believe the world owes you forgiveness. Which will it be?" Rhetorical question moment. Can someone raised in privilege truly grasp the pain they've inflicted on others when the world has always said, "You're special"? Madison's father, sitting silently in the back, shifts nervously. He has always shielded her from consequences, but today, he's powerless. Madison swallows hard, the weight of the courtroom pressing down on her. She glances at Lily, who looks back with a mixture of fear, hurt, and quiet courage. For a long moment, Madison says nothing. Then, with a voice barely above a whisper, she admits, "I didn't realize. I was wrong. I shouldn't have." Her words stumble, raw and unpolished. The courtroom leans in, feeling the first crack in her armor. Judge Caprio nods slowly, eyes softening but still firm. Acknowledgement is the first step toward change, but actions must follow words. "How will you make this right, Miss Carter?" She bites her lip, glancing at the damages, the volunteers, and the community she hurt. For the first time, she feels the weight of accountability. "I want to apologize. I want to help fix everything I broke. I want to make amends." A small murmur spreads through the courtroom. It's not often that someone so young, so entitled, admits fault so completely. Hit that subscribe button if you believe Madison is on the path to redemption. Judge Caprio leans back, expression composed but watchful. He begins to outline the steps she must take: volunteering at the center, public acknowledgement of her wrongdoing, and counseling to understand the impact of her behavior. Madison nods, tears threatening to spill, her mind racing with the reality of her own transformation. Her friends sit silently, shocked at the turn of events. The teenager who entered the courtroom thinking herself untouchable is now faced with humility, reflection, and a roadmap toward growth. And just as the tension starts to ease, the prosecutor whispers one final revelation, something that will test whether Madison's apology is genuine or just another performance. The courtroom holds its breath, waiting to see if karma will deliver a final unforgettable moment. The courtroom falls into a hushed silence as Judge Frank Caprio rises from his bench, the weight of his presence filling every corner. His voice, calm yet resonant, cuts through the tension. Today is not just about rules, he begins, nor is it about punishment alone. It is about understanding, respect, and the choices we make that shape our lives and the lives of those around us. Madison shifts in her seat, eyes wide. She feels the gravity of his words settling on her shoulders, heavier than any designer handbag or family influence. Judge Caprio continues, "Privilege does not excuse behavior. Power does not erase responsibility. And no matter your wealth, your name, or your status, the law treats everyone equally." Rhetorical question moment. How often do we forget that the smallest actions, words, gestures, even moments of thoughtlessness, can have enormous consequences? He pauses, scanning the room, letting the weight of the lessons sink in. "Miss Carter, respect is not optional. It is the cornerstone of every community, every society, and every relationship. When you disregard it, you harm not only others but yourself." The courtroom is utterly silent. Even Madison's friends lean forward, captivated. Judge Caprio's voice softens, a rare touch of empathy threading through the authority. But there is hope. Acknowledgement is the first step, true remorse is the second, and meaningful action is the third. Today, you have the chance to show the world, and yourself, what kind of person you truly want to be. Madison feels a lump in her throat. The words are piercing, more powerful than any lecture from her parents, more lasting than any viral post. She nods slowly, tears glimmering in her eyes. This is the first time she understands that respect is earned, not demanded, and that actions have consequences that no amount of privilege can erase. Judge Caprio continues, voice rising with conviction. "The path to redemption is not easy. It requires humility, courage, and consistency. You must prove, through deeds, that your apology is genuine. That is the only way to rebuild trust, not just with the people you have hurt, but with yourself." He leans forward slightly, piercing gaze fixed on Madison. "Miss Carter, I hope you take this seriously, because the alternative is far worse than embarrassment or punishment. It is a life lived without understanding, without empathy, without connection. Are you willing to embrace change, or will you return to the world thinking nothing matters?" Madison swallows hard. The room holds its breath, every heartbeat echoing in the silence. Hit that subscribe button if you believe Judge Caprio's words are a lesson everyone should hear. The energy in the courtroom shifts, the calm, unity, the victims, even the skeptics begin to sense the transformation. Madison stands, voice trembling but sincere. "I will do everything I can to make this right. I want to earn that trust back, starting today." Judge Caprio nods, a small approving smile touching his lips. "Then let this be a day of learning, growth, and the beginning of a better path. Actions speak louder than words, Miss Carter. Let your actions show the world who you really are." As Madison leaves the courtroom, the final twist of karma is about to unfold, bringing tears, redemption, and a lesson no one will forget. Madison steps out of the courtroom, the marble floors echoing beneath her Louis Vuitton heels. But this time, she doesn't walk with arrogance. She walks with awareness, every step carrying the weight of lessons learned. Outside, the community volunteers wait, unsure of what to expect. Will this teenager, once untouchable and self-absorbed, actually follow through? Over the next few weeks, Madison immerses herself in repairing the harm she caused. She returns to the art center daily, scrubbing walls, organizing supplies, and helping where she once mocked. Lily, who had once feared her, watches cautiously as Madison sweeps, paints, and even helps set up a fundraiser for the center. Every small act chips away at the arrogance that had defined her life. Rhetorical question moment. Can true change happen when someone is forced to confront themselves, or does it require genuine reflection from within? Her social media, once filled with posts flaunting wealth and entitlement, transforms. Madison documents her volunteer work, not to show off, but to inspire others. She posts heartfelt apologies, acknowledging her mistakes publicly. Comments flood in, some skeptical, some supportive, but the majority celebrate her transformation. One afternoon, Madison hands Lily a carefully wrapped gift, a handcrafted sculpture, inspired by the community project she once destroyed. Lily's eyes widen, tears spilling over. I can't believe you did this, she whispers. Madison smiles, a mix of humility and hope. I want to make it right, she says softly. Judge Caprio hears of her progress and calls the court again, not for punishment, but for recognition. He praises Madison's efforts, noting that true redemption is rare and true accountability even rarer. This young lady has faced the consequences of her actions and chosen a path of growth, he says, voice carrying across the courtroom. She reminds us that it's never too late to change, to repair, and to respect one another. Madison's father, sitting quietly, feels a swell of pride mixed with humility. He realizes that no amount of power or influence can replace character and integrity. He places a gentle hand on his daughter's shoulder, a silent acknowledgement that she has learned a lesson worth more than any privilege. Word spreads, and the story goes viral, not for scandal, not for drama, but for transformation. News outlets, online communities, and social media commentators praise Madison's journey from arrogance to accountability. She becomes a symbol of what happens when someone is willing to confront their flaws, face justice, and choose to make amends. And finally, Madison visits the Community Arts Center one last time before returning to school. She walks through the rooms she once disrespected, seeing the laughter, the joy, and the creativity she had dismissed. Lily smiles at her, and for the first time, Madison feels the true value of respect and empathy. She knows this lesson will stay with her forever. Judge Caprio's words echo in her mind. Actions speak louder than words, Miss Carter. Let your actions show the world who you really are. The transformation is complete. Karma delivered its lesson, tears were shed, redemption achieved, and lives were changed. Madison, once a symbol of entitlement, now stands as proof that even the most spoiled, reckless individuals can learn, grow, and inspire. Like this video if you believe everyone deserves a chance to change. Subscribe for more unforgettable courtroom stories, hit the bell for instant updates, and share this story to remind the world that respect, accountability, and redemption always matter. While Madison's story ends here, the echoes of Judge Caprio's courtroom continue to teach lessons that no one forgets.